Which transfer portal quarterbacks ended up being hits and which ones are misses?
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
To the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for joining in on the #1 sports broadcasting network, the Locked On Podcast Network. We're here to bring you all the latest information, and this show is going to discuss all things transfer portal quarterbacks today. How did they do this weekend? And overall, who were the hits and who were the misses? That is next. We are brought to you by your friends over at FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel customers, if you're new to FanDuel and you bet $5 and it hits, you can unlock $300 to use across the FanDuel app. Just download the app today. Well, we've seen enough this year to know that you can take some of what's happened this year and look at it for the future. So what's next from the portal? You got to diagnose it very, very carefully. We're going to get into that later in the show. We're also going to go over the winners and losers for this week. Quarterbacks from the transfer portal that I want to go out and say, hey, you did this right or you did this wrong. And also probably take a few looks at maybe decisions that schools made with those. And that is really the #1 point here. The first thing, which schools really hit with their transfer portal quarterbacks and what were the surprises, good or bad? Let's start with that right now. #1, Fernando Mendoza. I thought he was really good at Cal last year, but played behind a shaky O-line. Running game was iffy, even though they had some talented players. And above all else, he didn't have enough playmakers on the other side of the ball to help his team. They had some good players, but not enough. Oh, by the way, shout out to Cal. They did beat Louisville this weekend, and we're going to get into the Miller-Moss discussion in just one moment. That is a weird deal right there. But first off, Fernando Mendoza. He transfers into Indiana. Signetti and his staff have done a tremendous job. They're down several players, including their left guard, etc. Their running back situation took a hit early in the year with a player, but they've done pretty good there. Receiver Surratt is back, a transfer. That's really good. Omar Cooper is a kid that recruited out of high school. Has been a good player, and he made that incredible catch in the back of the end zone against Penn State. Hats off to him. But in everything that really transpires with Indiana, it just seems to work through the right arm of Fernando Mendoza. I had a chance to meet him when he was in high school at a 7-on-7. His dad's a good guy, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, there's no way around it. Nobody really thought he was going to be to this level. I thought he would be good, and I thought he would be an NFL player. But he has been miraculous in the most important category there is on planet Earth when it relates to any sport. When you got to have it. Can you think of a quarterback throwing the football that you would rather have than Mendoza this year? It's been incredible. The Iowa game, they definitely could have lost. Scored on the last drive. Oregon, he threw a terrible pick. Things are dicey. They're on the road. They're at Austin. Comes right back, leads them down for a drive for a score. Penn State game, he gets sacked on that last drive on Saturday. And boom, right after that, he hits a seam route. Right after that, he hits a comeback on the numbers. Has to make sure it's to the outside. They're working without timeouts. Puts it exactly where it needs to be. His guy catches it, steps out of bounds. Then they're in a rhythm. Nobody throws deep to the tight end. Oh, Fernando Mendoza does. He gets the ball down barely deep into Penn State territory. Job's not done. They have to score a touchdown. Field goals are no good. Great coverage by Penn State, who, by the way, that staff, Coach Smith and everybody, they did a good job with the defense. The catch by Charlie Becker was great. Coverage was just as good, if not even better, but Mendoza gave his guy a chance. I didn't even know who Charlie Becker was before the game. I'm an IU grad. That's a great catch. But without Mendoza, obviously it doesn't happen. A few plays inside the 10-yard line, it's looking dicey again. Pass rush from Penn State's been good. He's getting hit. Mendoza keeps battling. Throws the back inline past, again, gives his guy a chance off his back foot, under pressure, under elite dress. Give all the credit in the world to Omar. He deserves, in my opinion, even more credit. The toe tap thing was hard to define with words. I can't even explain it to myself. But at the outset, it was still Mendoza's fingertips releasing the football and his quarterback trusting in him. Everything that's happened with Indiana football this year starts with Mendoza. He makes players around him even better. That is the ultimate compliment. And for this, I am steadfast that the most important and the best quarterback transition from one team to another 2025 is Fernando Mendoza going to the Hoosiers from the Cal Bears. There are other good ones, and we'll talk about some here today. But Mendoza's towards the top, or number one, depending on the person that's voting, of the Heisman race right now for a reason. He's earned it. He is clutch. I have stats, and they're fine to discuss from the Penn State game, but I didn't even put his season stats down on paper, which I did for most of the guys I have here I'm going to talk about today. Didn't need him for Mendoza. He's number one in the clutch category. In the 3 big games that they have played that have been close, he has killed it in the final moments. Iowa, Oregon, Penn State. Those are 3 tough venues to win in, and you really can't be more clutch with his decision-making, his physical toughness, because he was getting hit, and then just sheer accuracy when he gave his guys a chance to go up and get it. Hats off to him. He has been tremendous. Here are the stats that he had yesterday. They're pretty pedestrian, really. 19 of 31, 61.3%, 218 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick. The pick was bad. He only had like 140 or 50 yards or something like that at the beginning of that drive. It was a subpar day. And then the clutch gene kicked in. So Mendoza is my winner overall for the season, and he's also my winner in a lot of ways for this weekend, because again, that could have been catastrophic for the Hoosiers. Now they're back on pace. They got Wisconsin, and they also have Indiana, or Purdue, in the old Oaken Bucket game to finish out the season. Number 2 on my list, Ashton Daniels. This is a great story. It's a kid I met during 7-on-7 when he was in high school. Really good player, played at Buford, went on to win state title. He went on to head out, go to Stanford, got his degree. Didn't work out there in terms of them being great teams. Transferred to Auburn, sat behind Jackson Arnold. Then he came out and played after the coaching change. Hugh Freeze is gone at Auburn. Here's all he did yesterday. Just a mild day against a Vandy defense on the road that's pretty good. 31 of 47, 66%, 353 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. He also had a touchdown called back, I believe, but 15 carries, 104 yards, 2 TDs on the ground. He was as good a player as there was in college football this weekend, and he hadn't even started a game. Hats off to Ashton Daniels. They don't win. I mean, it's not his fault that the defense caved. And Auburn, once again, the referees don't like Auburn. I think that's pretty clear. But Ashton Daniels is pretty good. Will Auburn redshirt him? He's got 3 games in the books and got the Iron Bowl left. Will they redshirt him to allow him to come back next year? I would at least consider it. That'll be a very interesting topic. I'm going to discuss that, I'm sure, a few times with one Mr. Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn coming up soon. But that's pretty interesting. And then number 3, this was a different kind of challenge. Ole Miss took on the Citadel. That's a school you're going to kill. They won 49-0 or something like that. I think it was 49-0. I picked them to win a ridiculous score like that too. But he could have been outside the focus zone that he needed, etc. But Chambliss came out and killed it. 29 of 33, which is a mere 87.9%, 333 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. He only had like 1 carry. They didn't want him to get hit. Smart by Wayne and his crew. But he was on time. He was accurate. He got reps in. He got better against the Citadel. That's the goal. Ole Miss needed him to play well. He did. Congrats wholeheartedly to Trinidad Chambliss. He earned that. He absolutely earned that. And this is an important thing. Mentally, when quarterbacks take any rep off, everybody's watching. Props to Chambliss for not being that guy, because they need to stay on a high mark all the way through the end of the season. They've got a few games left that they should win. Still got the Mississippi State game, the Egg Bowl. Love that game. They have all those things in front of them, but they need every rep to be good, and he did it. That's important. When we come back, I have the unfortunate, not so good news. Some quarterbacks that I'm concerned about, or at least there are questions. We got LSU in the crosshairs. We got Louisville in the crosshairs. Got a few others. Florida State. Like, did the right decisions get made? Is there coaching malpractice? We're going to talk about that more here on the Locked On Portal Podcast, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Wayfair. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means it's time to get your home ready, whether you need more seating for guests, your cozy new linens, or maybe you need some new serveware for holiday hosting. Wayfair's Black Friday sale is right now. It's here to help you make everything shine at your home. Best part, it is started now. You don't have to wait. All month long and up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. So if you need pillows, if you need coasters for your table, if you need new silverware, if you need new pots and pans, if you need anything around your home, maybe it's a chair, maybe it's you want to get a start on the deck for next spring. Whatever it is, Wayfair is going to have an answer for you. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's wayfair.com. Sale ends on December the 7th. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day, each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst, trying to bring you as much information about the portal today, and I'm going to do this every week. Might even do some with a few other positions too. Who hit? Which players hit for your school, and which ones did they miss on? What can we learn from it as we move in, not just to the playoffs, but to the off season in 2026? What did we learn? That is the objective of the next couple of segments. And part of it, unfortunately, for that learning, what failed. Right now, I don't know who I would rank number one, because the record of the teams, it's not just a one position deal. And a lot of people want to throw quarterbacks under the bus, especially with interceptions. Sometimes it's the wrong route. Sometimes it's the wrong protection. And sometimes the other team, who also gives out scholarships, make plays. But there are some concerns. Let me give you an example. A few weeks ago, Miami lost to Louisville at home. He wasn't unbelievable, but Miller Moss was pretty good for the Cardinals. But then this Saturday, Louisville's Miller Moss, not saying it was all on him. I didn't even watch the game. I didn't even think it would be close. Cal goes across the country and upsets Louisville. Here is Miller Moss's not this stat line, his staggeringly bad stat line. He's the transfer from USC, just to remind you, 20 of 39. I'm hoping there were some drops there. Again, I didn't watch the game, but 51.3%. That is not acceptable in today's world. And he's got Coach Brom coaching. Like, he might be the best quarterback coach in college football. 51.3%. Now, part of this still got to fall on Brom too. Just because he's got a good track record doesn't mean he's excused from the confusion and why things didn't go the way they should have. Cal's defense is not good. I have seen them play a couple times. They are not good. Got a couple linebackers that fly around, but they don't have any second-round pick walking around at corner. They don't have a defensive tackle that's going to go late first round. They don't have anything like that. But Miller Moss was at 51.3%. That's concerning. No TDs. You've got a first-round pick at receiver. You've got a really dynamic running back. I don't know if he'll be a great pro back, but Brown, like, he can fly. Got a couple other guys that are pretty good too. I'm a little concerned there. So I think right now he's the most disappointing guy, because I think Louisville is undefeated if Moss is better. And again, I know it's not fair to pile on him. There are other guys that screwed up, but Louisville should be undefeated right now. They should be. Moss hasn't played well in multiple games, and this cost them and might end up costing them a chance to be in the playoff. Who knows? But that's one. Number two, and this one, like, he's been up and he's been down. That's kind of been the history of this young man throughout his college career. Tommy Castellanos, a young man I know from high school, 7-on-7, the whole nine. He's from Georgia, went to UCF, went to BC. Now he's at Florida State. Up and down. Now, he had 5 drops. That's just based on PFF. That might be a soft number. Florida State's receivers running backs, tight ends, etc. Collectively, it didn't go the way it should. But Tommy didn't throw the ball as well as he should either. All of that together, here are Tommy's numbers for the last game. And Florida State is just up and down week to week. You don't know what you're going to get. 23 of 44, 52.3%. Again, in today's era, come on, man. 250 yards, a lot of it in garbage time, 5.7 yards a tote. Very, very low. Anything under 7.5 gets really dicey. He's almost at 5.5. And then he had one pick, probably could have been another. Touchdowns, one should have had more. Again, the drops killed them. But he didn't have his most accurate night. He ran the ball pretty well when he had the opportunity, but he's banged up a little bit. Was it a great decision to bring him in? He's a great fit for Gus Malzahn's offense. I'm not saying it's not, but he runs hard and he runs it away. You know he's going to get banged up. He's never going to play a season fully healthy. I think that's something to talk about in later shows and really until the end of time. If you're taking a running quarterback, you need to have another guy behind him that's not just developmental, not just a journeyman from the Ivy League. It needs to be somebody who has played FBS, Power 4 football, and started games. That's rough because that's a lot of this right here. Cash money. Tommy Castellanos is proof that once guys get beat up, it's hard. And Clemson's defense ate them up at times, but they weren't great. Florida State, more than anything else, shot itself in the foot in that game. Part of it on Tommy, not all, but part of it on Tommy. That's a concern. And then finally, on this one, it's not as much that he struggled. We just don't know much. Michael Van Buren from LSU, he got inserted into the game against Bama. Nussmeier was ineffective, like 5-point-something yards per attempt. They put in Van Buren. 5 out of 11 is not a good sign, but he's a mobile quarterback, totally different than Nuss. Nuss is not a runner, and he's been banged up since fall camp. He's as close to immobile a major college quarterback as there is. Van Buren's a different style. His linemen, tight ends, everybody are blocking for him. They got to adjust. Did LSU make a good move? I just want to bring him up. I don't know because I'm looking at this list of like all these teams that either did or didn't make a move. And I'm like, how do you rank LSU? This could end up being a boom or bust because he might be the quarterback next year. He might not. You don't even know who the head coach is going to be. It's a really interesting situation. So for him, I don't even know who I could compare him to. Maybe a little bit with Aguilar at Tennessee, and I'll talk about him in a second. He's been good, obviously. But Van Buren's the most curious because if the right head coach is brought into LSU in any era, and you've got a quarterback, you can make a title run. He's very, very much an athlete with the ball in his hands, but now can he be accurate enough? Because they got so many speedy running backs, receivers, tight ends, trade us great. Like you got the freakiest tight end come back. He's only a sophomore. LSU could be top 5 next year if Van Buren's the guy. They could, but they may not be top 25 if he's not. That's unfortunate. That is the nature of football. Your quarterback's not what it needs to be. Yeah, it's not going to go well. Curious to see how he does. I'm rooting for him because he seems like a lot of fun to watch. Just to bring up a couple other guys here in general, and you could take this any way you want, but the whole situation with Nico and Joey Aguilar, Aguilar's been better, but he's got more talent. They traded schools, obviously. Joey Aguilar at Tennessee this year is 195 at 299, 65.2%. They didn't play this weekend, by the way. 2,743 yards, 9.2 yards per attempt, 21 TDs, 8 interceptions, and he's also run for 155 yards and a couple of scores. Nico's had to do more. They don't have as much talent at UCLA, but 167 at 265, 63%, 1,672 yards, 12 TDs, 7 picks, but he also has 600 rushing yards, 8.2, 4 touchdowns. When he takes off, he can make things happen. And if you don't believe me, ask Penn State when he went for 150. He's not been as good as Aguilar, but give him credit. Give Nico credit. He went in there and he's played well. Good for him. The guy that I want to evaluate later, because they got the big game with Bama coming up and he's been hurt a lot, in case you're wondering why I haven't mentioned him, is John Mateer. I want to talk about that a little bit next week. I need to see him play against Bama. When we do the quarterback report, we'll get there. But for now, just note that that one is also up in the air. That is further along than the situation with Van Buren, but again, he's been banged up. And it's not just his hand. He's been banged up more than that. What's on injury reports, don't always believe, because there should be other things there too. To that end, there are a lot of guys like that. We don't know the full context. Even some of the staffs don't. There are players that I know just from firsthand conversations over the years. They don't always tell everything because they want to play. So we got to be careful about how we grade them, but it is what it is there too. Sometimes if they're not going to tell it, we're just going to let it rip. And I'm definitely in that boat. When we come back, I want to talk about Diego Pavia. Is he the standard by which teams are going to grade themselves? And more importantly, their fans, their boosters, those who support the programs do it? Because if that's the case, it's going to be really tough sledding. That is next here on the Portal Podcast, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to be riding a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. How good is Diego Pavia? Can we grade him? To put it into perspective, I literally didn't even write his name down on the sheet, the school he plays for, where he came from, no stats or anything else, and I knew he was my third segment. That's how impactful Diego Pavia has been for the Vanderbilt Commodores. No doubt. Now, he's a second-year transfer for a second time. This is interesting. JUCO kid, New Mexico State, couple years. Now he's at Vandy. I think this is his last year. He might try to get another because he's not an NFL guy and he's trying to make as much money as he can. And by all means, I don't think he's going to get another year, but we'll see. The point is still the same. When that guy is on the field, you cannot, for 1 second, discount what he can do. Here's the problem for other schools. Take Vandy out of the equation. Take Clark Lee, everybody that's an offensive coach, defensive coach, specialty, whatever, out of the equation. Everybody that's a fan of a blue blood, a team that didn't get it done this year. Florida, ironically, another SEC team, not doing so well. Look at Lenora Sellers. He doesn't have the pieces around him at South Carolina. They're probably mad because Vandy crushed them. They went to their house, smacked them. Look around the country in general. Arch, they won against them, but they got twice as much talent conservatively, and they barely still won. It's all over the place. Could you imagine what Pavia would do if he had some serious wide receiver talent? It'd be amazing. So here is the issue. Teams that go into the portal this year, and a reminder, I'm going to do this on almost every podcast, January 2nd through the 16th, there is one window. That is it. You will not get spring practice to watch your quarterbacks and say, you know what? We got to go get somebody. You got to make a predetermination now so you can raise the funds, figure out who you want to watch, film of, see if they're a fit for your program. Do all that now because guys are going to start announcing, especially this week, hey, I'm going to the portal. Hey, I'm doing this. All those things are going to happen. 100%. And then you may run off somebody in your roster, but that Pavia guy, he's a problem. Because your fan base, your boosters expect you to find the Pavia. Are we even sure there is another one coming in the next few years? Somebody that's that clutch that can raise a team, and I'm not picking on him, outside of Eli Stowers, the stud tight end for Vandy. He's a ball player. Outside of him, who's a transfer, by the way, too, who do they have that you say from a matchup standpoint, this guy's going to beat us with man beaters all day long? We got to play zone. We got to mix it up. We got to roll coverage. We got to double. We got to fire zone, all that. Most of the time you can man up against them, except for Stowers, who is a dude. He killed Auburn. He murdered Auburn. He was 12 receptions out of 15 targets. Yikes. But Pavia knows that, and he found his strength, and they won with their best player. They won with their best player. Smarts. I said earlier in the show that Mendoza makes everybody around him better. Pavia is last year's version of that. He's just returning. You can make one of them 1A, one of them 1B. If I had to rank it, I would probably rank it, but just between those two, I'd take Pavia because he's a better runner. Although Mendoza did go out and get himself a rushing touchdown that was a big score against Penn State. Indiana wouldn't have won without it. But Pavia is the better runner, obviously. How many teams are going to be really mad if they don't have instant success? Mendoza, and especially Pavia again, because those are programs that aren't supposed to win. Indiana and Vanderbilt? But Vandy beat in the SEC. They beat Bama last year. They beat Auburn 2 years in a row. They're winning games they're not supposed to. They slap South Carolina around. That's not normal, man. That's not normal. Oh, they beat LSU. I don't remember the last time Vandy beat LSU. I'm sure it's happened in my life a couple of times, but that's not normal. This guy is going to create some dilemmas for teams going out in the portal. Buyer beware. If you go out in the portal, whether it's fair or not, the quarterback that you grab, people are going to have expectations, especially if you're a true blue blood. Let's say LSU doesn't want to go with Van Buren with the new coach. Are you going to get somebody like Diego Pavia? It's not realistic. We're setting a standard. So what's next for your school? I don't know. But I've seen a list of guys here. Trinidad Chambliss, the kid at Ole Miss, he played at Ferris State last year. I'm a Midwest guy. That's in the state of Michigan. It is not a program that's even FCS, if I remember. I think it's D2. Like, it is lower level, and he destroyed that level. But he's destroying the SEC, and you can ask the Citadel if he's any good too. Again, 29-33 this past game, and I don't think he's slowing down. He's a guy you can win it all with. It is hard to evaluate quarterbacks at any level. But the portal quarterbacks, how they're going to acclimate to the offense, adjust to the coaches, being yelled at, going up a level like Pavia did, going up a few levels. Literally, I mean, Trinidad Chambliss, like, again, he wasn't even FCS. That's incredible. How do you project that when you have fans that are crazy about this sport, crazy about the school, and they don't want to give money unless they know, but there's no guarantee. In college football, one big happy family. It's also this wonderful time of year to talk college football because we're in early November. There's a bunch of teams still in the playoff hunt. And a lot of the guys I talked about today, they're going to help determine who makes the playoff or doesn't. We're going to talk a little more transfer portal quarterback throughout the week. I'm going to have several different guys on and doing crossovers, discussing transfer portal quarterbacks. And I'm definitely going to get into what happens with Miami. Going to talk about that with Alex Donham. That's why I left everything with Miami on the table. They've been the portal kings of quarterback the last couple of years. They've hit, or have they not? I mean, it's that hard. There are several other teams we could go and talk about. I only talked about a portion today. There are more. Absolutely. I still need to see more from certain guys. We'll see. Before I make any serious decisions on who's the best for the whole season, you got to see the whole season. But it's been a lot of fun to cover it and going through the stats, and I really enjoy this. Going to be talking transfer quarterbacks a whole bunch because I expect to see as many names at the portal as we would in 2 cycles, winter and spring, just in the winter window. We need to be prepared for what's next. So thank you very much for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day, each and every day, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Truly appreciate you stopping in, like and subscribe. We will see you again soon here on the Portal Podcast.